Marcus Chen stumbled out of the Olympic rainforest after 7 days missing, dehydrated and mumbling about strangers he'd never met. The experienced guide knew these mountains cold, but something in that ravine changed him. He couldn't sleep without lights blazing. He flinched when his mother touched him. Within 2 days, he described the childhood of a woman who died in 1987, in perfect detail. This is what happened in those woods. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. Marcus Chen checked his satellite phone for the 3rd time that morning. Full battery, signal strong. Route filed with the Park Service 20 minutes ago. He tossed his pack into the back of his truck and turned to find Park Ranger Julia Whitman watching him from the trailhead station doorway. "You sure about going solo?" she called out. "Those storms really tore up the north routes." Marcus walked over, boots crunching on gravel. "I've done this run 40 times, cash point and back, 18 hours max. I'll call from the shelter by sunset." Julia crossed her arms. She'd known Marcus for 6 years, worked dozens of rescues with him. He was the guy they called when hikers got lost in the bad sections, when conditions turned deadly and someone needed to go in fast. Former Army Ranger, 12 years guiding in these mountains, knew every trail and half the game pass. If anyone was overqualified for a simple supply check, it was Marcus Chen. "It's not the route I'm worried about," she said. "You look tired." Marcus rubbed his face. The dreams had been getting worse. 2 weeks now of waking up at 3 in the morning, heart pounding, sheets soaked with sweat. Dreams where he walked through lives that weren't his. Sat at dinner tables with families he'd never met. Drove cars he'd never owned down streets in cities he'd never visited. Each dream felt completely real until he woke up confused about which bedroom was actually his. "Just not sleeping great," he said. "Getting old. You're 34. Feels like 50 lately." He forced a smile. "I'll be fine once I'm out there. Always sleep better in the woods anyway." Julia didn't look convinced, but she let it go. "Okay, but regulations say check-ins every 6 hours on solo runs. Don't make me send a team after you because you forgot to call." "Yes, ma'am." Marcus headed back to his truck, grabbed his pack. 72-hour emergency kit even though he'd only be gone 1 day. Water filtration, first aid, emergency shelter, 3 days of food, fire starter, backup compass, GPS unit. The weight settled familiar across his shoulders. This was his element. Paperwork and phone calls in the ranger station. That was the hard part. Out on the trail, everything made sense. He started toward the trailhead, then stopped. Turned back. "Hey, Julia. You ever have dreams that feel more real than being awake?" She tilted her head. "Like what?" "Never mind, stupid question." He waved and disappeared into the tree line. Julia watched him go, couldn't shake an odd feeling in her gut. She went back inside and marked his departure time in the log, 7:03 a.m. Everything by the book, everything normal. But she stood at the window longer than usual, watching the spot where the forest had swallowed him until her coffee went cold in her hand. The storm damage hit worse than the reports suggested. Marcus reached the washout at mile marker 7.3 just before noon, his watch reading 11:20. The main trail had collapsed into a gully 15 feet deep, recent rains carving away the hillside like a giant hand had scooped it out. He could cross it, clip into his safety line, work his way along the exposed rock face, be past it in 20 minutes. Doable, but dangerous. Stupid if you were alone. He dropped his pack and studied the terrain. Then he saw it, an old game trail branching off to the left, descending through heavy timber toward what looked like a natural bypass around the damaged section. He'd hiked this route dozens of times and never noticed that trail before. Strange, but the forest changed after big storms. Trees fell, new paths opened up, old ones vanished. Marcus pulled out his GPS. The device showed his position clearly. The game trail wasn't marked on any map, but it headed roughly parallel to his route. Could save him 2 hours if it connected back to the main trail below the washout. He checked the time. If he kept to schedule, he'd reach cache point by 2, complete his supply check, and head back, home before dark. Or he could waste an hour navigating the washout and arrive late. Just 15 minutes, he muttered to himself. Scout it out. If it's no good, come back. He marked his position with orange surveyor's tape tied to a branch, then started down the game trail. The path felt solid underfoot, packed earth worn smooth by animal traffic. Deer probably, maybe elk. The canopy thickened overhead as he descended, temperature dropping noticeably. He'd grown up in Seattle, spent half his life in these mountains, knew the Olympic rainforest could shift from pleasant to oppressive in the span of 100 yards. This was that shift. The game trail wound deeper. Marcus checked his GPS every few minutes. Signal stayed strong. He was tracking fine, moving southeast, elevation dropping steadily. Everything by the numbers. But something felt wrong. The forest had gone too quiet. No bird calls. No wind in the branches. Even his footsteps sounded muffled, like the woods were swallowing sound. He stopped. Listened. Nothing. This is stupid, he said aloud. You know better. But turning back meant the washout, meant burning time, meant arriving late. And that game trail still felt familiar somehow, like he'd walked it before even though he absolutely hadn't. The same feeling from his dreams, knowing a place he'd never been. Marcus pulled out his compass for a backup check. The needle spun lazily, then settled, pointing northwest. Wrong. It should point north. Always pointed north. He tapped the casing. The needle drifted, wouldn't lock on. He checked his GPS again. The screen showed him on course, coordinates solid. Compass malfunction. Happens sometimes near mineral deposits or electrical interference. Marcus put it away and kept walking. The game trail descended toward what his map labeled as Devil's Ravine, an area locals avoided, though he'd never understood why. Just superstition. The trail would bypass it, connect back to his route. Everything would be fine. Then he rounded a bend and stopped dead. Below him, maybe 50 yards down through the trees, sat a structure. Old shelter. Partially collapsed roof. Weathered wood. And his satellite phone beeped once in his hand. No signal. Impossible at this elevation. Marcus stood frozen, staring at the shelter. Every instinct from his ranger training screamed at him to turn around. Mark this location. Return to the main trail. Report it to the Park Service. Let someone else investigate. But his legs carried him forward anyway. The shelter sat at the edge of a ravine, positioned where the ground dropped away into nothing. Fog filled the bottom, thick and unmoving despite the breeze Marcus felt on his face. He approached slowly, scanning for hazards. Rotted wood, unstable ground, wildlife dens. The structure looked decades old, maybe from the 70s based on the construction style. Plywood walls weathered gray, tin roof mostly collapsed on one side. He circled it first, keeping his distance. No recent footprints, no fresh disturbance, just old camping gear scattered around. A rusted Coleman stove, shredded nylon tent fabric, a backpack frame without the pack. All ancient, all abandoned. Marcus checked his phone again. Still no signal. The battery showed full charge, but the device refused to connect. He pulled out his emergency beacon and pressed the test button. Nothing. The LED that should have flashed green stayed dark. He tried his GPS unit. The screen was blank. What the hell, he said. All three devices failing simultaneously. That didn't happen. That couldn't happen unless, what? Electromagnetic pulse, solar flare. He looked up through the canopy. Normal daylight, normal sky, nothing unusual. He should leave. He knew he should leave. Instead, he walked to the shelter entrance. Inside, the air smelled wrong, not musty or moldy like old buildings usually did. It smelled like copper and old paper. Marcus pulled his flashlight and swept the interior. More gear, a sleeping bag still in its stuff sack, water bottles, and on a makeshift shelf, journals, 3 of them. Leather-bound, water-damaged, but intact. He picked up the first one and opened to a random page. The handwriting was neat, feminine, careful. Day 3, still can't find the main trail. Keep ending up back here no matter which direction I go. Compass broken. Watch stopped. This doesn't make sense. Marcus flipped to the front page. Sarah Mitchell, June 1987. His hands went numb. Sarah Mitchell. the name from his dreams, the woman whose childhood he'd been dreaming about for 2 weeks. Birthday parties, school plays, her father teaching her to fish, her mother braiding her hair. Memories that weren't his but felt completely real. He grabbed the second journal. David Torres, August 2003. The third, Amanda Reeves, October 2011. Different people, different years, all describing the same thing, being unable to leave, finding themselves back at the shelter, equipment failing, time behaving strangely. Marcus backed out of the shelter, journals still in his hands. He needed to get out of here. Now. He turned toward the trail he'd come down and started walking fast. The orange tape he'd tied should be visible within 100 yards. He walked for 10 minutes, no tape. The forest looked identical in every direction. He checked his watch, 2:15 p.m., but the light filtering through the canopy looked like late afternoon, almost evening. Marcus stopped, pulled out his backup compass. The needle spun slowly, wouldn't settle. He looked back toward the shelter. It was closer now than when he'd left it. He'd been walking away for 10 minutes, but somehow he was closer. Marcus forced himself to breathe slowly. Panic killed people in the wilderness faster than exposure or dehydration. He'd seen it dozens of times, experienced hikers making fatal decisions because fear shut down their rational thinking. He would not be one of those people. He set down his pack and pulled out water, drank half a liter. The cold helped clear his head. Think it through. He'd been walking uphill, away from the ravine. Basic navigation said he should have gained elevation, put distance between himself and the shelter. Instead, the shelter was closer. Spatial disorientation. It happened. The forest could play tricks on your sense of direction, especially in dense timber, where you couldn't see landmarks. Marcus pulled a length of paracord from his pack and tied one end to a tree. Bright orange cord, impossible to miss. Then he walked in a straight line away from the shelter, paying out cord as he went. 50 feet, 100 feet. He marked the direction by keeping his eyes on a distinctive double-trunk cedar ahead of him. When he'd walked 200 feet by his count, he tied off the cord and looked back. The orange line stretched straight behind him. Good. Now walk perpendicular to it for another 200 feet. Create an L shape. He started walking, keeping the cord visible to his left. Counted his paces. 100, 200, 300. The cord disappeared behind trees, but he knew it was there, his anchor point. At 400 paces, he stopped and looked around. Nothing familiar, no shelter, no ravine, just forest. Relief washed through him. Marcus retraced his steps, following his own footprints back toward the cord. Found it easily, started to follow it back to his pack. The cord led him straight to the shelter. His pack sat exactly where he'd left it, next to the shelter entrance. The paracord he'd tied to a tree 200 feet away was tied to the shelter's support post. Marcus stared at it. He'd watched that cord pay out behind him. He'd walked in a straight line. He grabbed the cord and pulled. It came easily, coiling in his hands. When he reached the end, he found the other terminus tied to the same support post. He'd somehow created a loop, walked in a circle. Come back to the start. No, he said aloud. That's not possible. His watch said 2:40, 25 minutes since he'd started the experiment. The sun angle said 5 p.m. or later. Marcus looked at the sky through the trees. The light was definitely fading toward dusk. He picked up Sarah Mitchell's journal again and flipped to a middle entry. Day 4, tried marking my path. Ended up following my own marks back here. Time isn't working right. My watch says 2 hours, but the sun moves 6. Going to try waiting until morning. Maybe the loop breaks at night. Marcus read the next entry. Still day 4, I think. Couldn't sleep. Watch the stars. They're wrong. Constellations I don't recognize. This isn't right. This isn't Earth. Marcus threw the journal down and grabbed his pack. He wasn't staying here. He'd force his way out if he had to. Bushwhack through the undergrowth, follow the sun west until he hit something recognizable. The Olympic Peninsula was only 70 miles across at its widest point. Walk far enough in any direction and you'd eventually hit civilization. He picked a direction opposite the ravine and started hiking hard. No trail, just straight through the timber. His boots crashed through ferns and underbrush. Branches whipped his face. He didn't care. Distance. He needed distance. 30 minutes by his watch. The light faded to deep twilight even though his watch said 3:10 p.m. Marcus pulled out his headlamp and kept moving. His lungs burned. Sweat soaked his shirt despite the cold. He climbed over a fallen log and dropped into a small clearing. The shelter sat in the middle of it. His pack was there, right where he'd left it, even though he'd been carrying his pack the entire time. Marcus looked down, pack on his shoulders. He could feel the weight. He shrugged out of it and set it on the ground next to the other pack. Identical. Same scuff marks on the frame, same repair patch on the left strap where he'd torn it 2 years ago. He opened both packs. Identical contents. Water bottles in the same pockets. Same energy bars. Same first aid kit. He pulled out both satellite phones, same dead screens. Marcus backed away from the packs and sat down hard. His hands shook. This wasn't spatial disorientation. This wasn't confusion or bad navigation. Something was fundamentally wrong with this place. He forced himself to think like a ranger, assess the situation. He was trapped in some kind of loop. Distance didn't matter. Direction didn't matter. He kept returning to the shelter. Time was acting strange. His watch showed one thing, the sun another. His equipment had failed, and 3 other people had been here before him, experienced the same thing. What happened to them? Marcus grabbed Amanda Reeves's journal from 2011 and flipped to the last entry. Day 7. I understand now. Going down into the ravine in the morning. That's the only way. Don't try to go around it. Don't try to leave. You have to go through it. If you're reading this and you're trapped too, the answer is at the bottom. I saw it last night. I saw myself down there. All of me. Every version. It's beautiful and terrible, and I have to know. The entry ended there. No day 8. Marcus walked to the edge of the ravine. The fog still filled it, dense and unmoving. He couldn't see more than 10 feet down before the white consumed everything. Cold air rose from it, carrying that copper smell stronger now, and something else. A sound, faint, like voices speaking just below the threshold of hearing. He stepped back quickly. His own voice came from behind him. You should set up camp. It'll be dark soon. Marcus spun around. Nobody there. Just the shelter, just the forest, just the fog. But he'd heard it clearly. His own voice. Same cadence. Same slight rasp from years of smoking in his 20s. He checked his watch. 4:20 p.m. The forest was nearly dark now. Full night would come soon. Marcus made a decision. He'd camp here tonight. Not in the shelter. That felt wrong. But nearby. He'd ration his supplies. 3 days of food and water. Enough time to figure this out. In the morning he'd try again. Different strategy. There had to be a way out. Marcus set up camp 50 feet from the shelter, back against a large boulder that gave him a clear view of the ravine and the structure. He strung paracord between 2 trees as a perimeter alarm, hung with tin cans from his mess kit. Anyone or anything approaching would make noise. Basic security from his army days. He didn't plan on sleeping. He built a small fire, kept it contained in a ring of stones. The warmth felt good against the unnatural cold rising from the ravine. Marcus pulled out an energy bar and forced himself to eat half. He washed it down with water, measured out exactly half a liter. Rationing started now. His watch read 8:40 p.m. The darkness felt complete, absolute. No moon, no stars visible through the canopy, just the firelight and the fog glowing pale at the ravine's edge. Marcus pulled out Sarah Mitchell's journal and read by firelight. She'd been a graduate student, 26 years old, studying old-growth forest ecology, got separated from her research group during a freak storm, found the shelter, got trapped. Her entries grew increasingly desperate over 7 days, then shifted to something else. Acceptance, curiosity, finally determination. The last entry matched what Amanda Reeves had written 24 years later. Going into the ravine, that's where the answer is. Neither woman was ever found. Park records showed extensive searches, helicopters, dogs, ground teams. Nothing, just vanished. David Torres had been a surveyor. experienced outdoorsman. His entries were more technical, trying to explain the phenomenon scientifically. He'd measured the loop, calculated the spatial distortion, theorized about magnetic anomalies. None of it helped him escape. His journal ended the same way. Day 7. Going down. Marcus closed the journal and stared at the fog. What was down there? What had they seen that made them choose to descend? A sound made him freeze. Footsteps, crunching through the underbrush, coming from his left. Marcus grabbed his knife and stood slowly. The footsteps continued, steady rhythm, getting closer. Then they stopped. Right at his perimeter line. Marcus strained to see past the firelight. Nothing moved, no shape, no reflection of eyes, just darkness and the faint sound of breathing that matched his own rhythm exactly. "Who's there?" he called out. Silence. Then his own voice answered from the darkness. "You already know who I am." Marcus's grip tightened on the knife. "Show yourself." "I can't. I'm not there yet. You haven't made the choice yet." "What choice?" "Whether to stay up here or go down, whether to keep trying to leave or accept that leaving isn't the point." Marcus took a step toward the voice. "This is hypothermia, or concussion. I hit my head and I'm hallucinating." His voice laughed from the darkness. "You didn't hit your head. You're not sick. This is real. All of it is real. Every possibility is real. That's what's down there. Every choice you ever made and every choice you didn't make, all existing at once." "That's insane." "Is it? You've been dreaming about Sarah Mitchell for 2 weeks, dreaming her memories like they're yours. Why?" Marcus said nothing. The voice continued. "Because time collapsed here. Past, present, future, all the same. You're connected to her because you're both trapped in the same moment. She's down there right now. So is David. So is Amanda. So are you. You're already down there, Marcus. You just haven't arrived yet." The footsteps moved away, back into the forest. Marcus stood frozen, knife still raised. His watch beeped. Midnight, but it had been 8:40 just a moment ago. He looked down. His fire had burned down to coals, hours of wood consumed. His water bottle sat empty beside his pack. He didn't remember drinking it. Marcus added wood to the fire with shaking hands and settled back against the boulder. He wouldn't sleep. Couldn't sleep. Whatever was happening here got worse when you weren't paying attention. This story takes time to craft. If you're enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Dawn came suddenly. No gradual lightening, just darkness and then full daylight, like someone had flipped a switch. Marcus jerked awake and realized with horror that he'd fallen asleep. His fire was dead cold ash, not warm coals from an hour ago, stone cold like it had been out for days. His watch said 6:15 a.m., day 2. But his phone, he grabbed it, powered it on despite knowing it wouldn't work. The screen lit up. Battery at 30% even though it had been full yesterday. The date displayed made his stomach drop. Day 7. The phone thought 7 days had passed. Marcus stood up too fast and the world spun. He grabbed the boulder for support. Hungry. He was desperately hungry. He looked at his pack and found it open. Food wrappers scattered around. Empty energy bar packages. Empty jerky bags. His 3-day supply eaten. He didn't remember eating any of it. He lifted his shirt. His stomach looked hollow, ribs more prominent than yesterday. His hands shook with low blood sugar. His mouth tasted like old copper. "No," he said, "this isn't possible." But his body told the truth his mind didn't want to accept. Days had passed, maybe all 7 days. While he thought he was staying awake, time had been moving around him. Marcus grabbed his water bottles, all empty. 3 liters gone. He stumbled toward the ravine where he'd heard water running yesterday. No water, just fog, silent and still. He searched the area frantically. There had to be water. The journals mentioned a stream. Sarah had written about filtering water from it. Marcus crashed through undergrowth, following the sound of running water he could hear but couldn't find. He broke through a thicket and stopped. The stream was there, but it was flowing uphill. Water defying gravity, running from low ground to high ground. disappearing into the fog at the ravine's edge. Marcus knelt beside it anyway, filled a bottle. The water felt normal, cold, clear. He dumped in a purification tablet and waited 30 minutes, watching his watch to make sure it actually moved. It did. 30 minutes exactly. He drank half the bottle. It tasted fine. Normal. He filled the other bottles and treated them. Whatever was happening here, he still needed water. Marcus made himself think through the situation. 7 days had passed or were about to pass. His supplies were gone. His body was weakening. The journals all ended at day 7 with the same decision. Go into the ravine. Maybe the ravine wasn't the trap. Maybe staying up here was. He walked back to the shelter and picked up Sarah's journal again. Read more carefully this time, looking for details he'd missed. Day 5. Saw something last night that changed everything. I was sitting by the fire when I looked up and saw myself, standing at the ravine edge, but older, maybe 40. She looked at me and I knew she was me from a future that hasn't happened yet. A future where I made different choices. She smiled and pointed down into the ravine. Marcus flipped ahead. Day 6. They're all down there. Every version of me. The me who became a doctor instead of a scientist. The me who married Tom. The me who died at 19 in that car accident. All of them real. All of them alive in their own timelines. The ravine is where they meet, where all possibilities converge. I can feel them calling to me. I'm afraid, but I'm also curious. What would it be like to see every life I could have lived? The entry stopped there, then one final note. Day 7. Going down now. If you're reading this and you're trapped here too, don't be afraid. The ravine doesn't want to hurt us. It wants to show us. Whatever happens, I choose to see. Marcus spent the next hour testing boundaries. He tried everything. Climbed trees to get above the canopy. The canopy went up forever into fog. Tried following the stream downhill. It looped back to the shelter. Tried following it uphill. Same result. He even tried closing his eyes and walking straight for 20 minutes. Opened his eyes at the shelter. Every path led back. He sat down heavily on the shelter steps and forced himself to accept reality. He was trapped in a space that didn't follow normal rules. Time collapsed here. Distance meant nothing. The only constant was the ravine, and the shelter and the fog. And the only people who'd escaped had gone down into the ravine. Marcus pulled out his last energy bar. He'd found one more in an inside pocket. He ate it slowly, making it last. The hunger helped him think clearly. What did he know? Sarah called it a convergence point where all possibilities met. David Torres tried to explain it with quantum theory. Amanda Reeves called it the place where God left the door open between worlds. But they all agreed. Going down changed you. You saw things, learned things, came back different, if you came back at all. Marcus walked to the ravine edge. The fog seemed thinner today. He could see maybe 20 feet down. Rock face, steep but climbable. Then the fog thickened again. He picked up a rock and dropped it over the edge. Listened. No sound of it hitting bottom. Just silence. What are you? Marcus asked the ravine. His own voice answered from the fog below. A question and an answer, both at once. Marcus didn't flinch this time. If I go down, can I get out? Can I go home? Home, the voice said. Which home? You have so many. One for every choice you made. One for every choice you didn't make. The one I lived, where Julia knows me, where my mom is alive, where I'm a guide. That Marcus is real, the voice agreed. So is the Marcus who stayed in the army. The one who died at 23. The one who married Sarah Chen. All real, all you, all happening right now. Marcus gripped the rock edge. I don't want to see them. I just want to go home. Then you'll stay here forever. You can't choose your one life until you've seen all of them. Marcus backed away, his heart hammered. This was too much. But his watch beeped. 8 p.m. Day 7. The sun was setting even though it had been morning moments ago. He had maybe one day left. His body was failing. Dehydrated despite the water. Starving despite eating. The loop was consuming him. Go down or die up here. Marcus made his decision. He spent the night preparing. He gathered all 3 journals and read them by firelight. looking for patterns, for warnings. Sarah Mitchell documented everything. The voices started on day 3. By day 5, she was seeing figures in the fog, herself at different ages. "The ravine shows you the branches," she wrote. "Every decision point where your life could have gone different. Here all the roads exist simultaneously." David Torres tried to fight it. His conclusion before descending: stable quantum superposition at macro scale. Going down may force collapse, may allow escape by choosing singular timeline. Amanda Reeves embraced it fastest. "We spend our lives wondering what if. The ravine answers every what if. Then it asks, which you do you choose to be?" Marcus closed the journals as the sun rose. Day 8, according to his watch. He felt the pull toward the ravine now. Like gravity but sideways. He packed light, water, knife, first aid kit, left everything else. He wrote his own entry. Day 8 or day 1. If you're reading this, you're trapped. The only way out is through. I'm going down. I'm out of food, out of time. My name is Marcus Chen. I'm 34. I'm a wilderness guide. I have a mother in Seattle and a partner named Julia. I want to go home. That's the me I choose. No matter what I see down there, that's who I am. He closed the notebook and left it with the others. Then Marcus Chen walked to the ravine edge and began his descent. The fog swallowed him immediately. Thick, cold. It tasted like copper and ozone. He could barely see his hands, but the rock was solid under his feet. He climbed down carefully. 10 feet down, 20, 30. The fog pressed against him like it had weight. Then he passed through something, a membrane, a boundary. The fog cleared, and Marcus saw everything. Marcus had tested the loop systematically before giving up. He'd carved marks into tree trunks at 50-foot intervals, creating a trail he could follow. The marks led him in circles. He found his first carving after walking what should have been 2 miles. The bark around it looked aged, weathered, like the mark had been there for months instead of hours. He tried climbing the ravine's opposite side, thinking maybe escape lay in that direction. The rock face went up and up into fog that never cleared. After 3 hours of climbing, he'd looked down and seen the shelter directly below him. He hadn't gained any elevation, just climbed in place while the world rotated beneath him. The stream was the worst discovery. Marcus had followed it for what his watch claimed was 6 hours. The water always flowed uphill, always toward the ravine. He'd marked his starting point with his orange tape. When he finally gave up and turned back, he found himself at the exact spot where he'd started. But the tape was gone. In its place, a piece of orange fabric so rotted it crumbled when he touched it. Like his tape had been there for decades. That's when he'd understood. Time didn't just move strangely here. It moved in multiple directions at once, past and future overlapping. His present moment scattered across days or weeks or years. The loop wasn't spatial, it was temporal. He was stuck in the same moment, living it over and over, while thinking he was moving forward. The hunger came in waves. Sometimes he felt starved, sometimes full. His body couldn't decide which timeline it belonged to. He'd check his supplies and find them full, then empty, then half-eaten, all within the span of an hour. Reality couldn't settle on a single state. That's what finally convinced him to descend. Staying up here meant dissolving into probability, becoming like Schrodinger's cat, both alive and dead, both here and gone, both eating and starving simultaneously. The ravine at least offered certainty, a single direction, down. The ravine had no bottom, just layers. Marcus stood on a narrow ledge and looked out at impossible geometry. The space extended in every direction at once, and everywhere he looked, he saw himself. Thousands of Marcus Chens, each one living a different moment, a different life, a different choice. The nearest one stood 5 feet away, Marcus at age 12, wearing his Boy Scout uniform. Summer camp, the orienteering competition. But next to that, Marcus stood another 12-year-old him, same day, except this one was on a baseball field. Marcus remembered that choice. His mom had let him pick between Scouts and Little League. Here both choices existed. Both were real. "Don't look too long," a voice said. Marcus spun. A man stood there, mid-40s, weathered face. David Torres. You're dead, Marcus said. Dead where? I'm alive in plenty of timelines. He gestured at the infinite Marcus Chen's. You need to keep moving. The longer you watch, the harder it gets to remember which one is you. How do I get out? Walk through. See all the branches, then pick which one leads home. David pointed deeper. Your timeline is in there somewhere. How many are there? All of them. Every possible you. Every choice. Marcus felt his mind starting to fracture. I'll lose myself. You will if you stop moving. David pointed past Marcus. Sarah's still here. Been here since '87. She watches the version that became a mother. Can't let it go. Marcus saw her. Young woman, 26, frozen, staring at a version of herself holding a baby, tears streaming. Don't become her, David said. Then why are you still here? David smiled sadly. Because I wanted to see them all. I was wrong. He faded. You're running out of time. Your body's dying up there. Maybe hours left? Marcus forced himself forward. He walked past himself at age 19, the version that died in a car crash, that Marcus had been drunk. In his timeline, he'd stayed sober. One choice, life or death. The Marcus who married Rebecca looked happy. 2 kids, house in the suburbs. The Marcus who stayed enlisted stood in combat gear. Older, harder. Scars Marcus didn't have. A Marcus who killed himself at 25. That one stopped him. He watched that version in a bathroom, bottle of pills in hand. That version looked up, made eye contact, nodded, then swallowed the pills. Marcus stumbled away. Every choice mattered. Every branch was real. His memories were bleeding into theirs. He remembered marriages that never happened, children he never had. Which memories were his? Then he saw Julia, the actual Julia Whitman, real, from his timeline. Julia, she turned. Relief flooded her face. Marcus, it's been 7 days. She looked around at the infinite Marcuses. What is this? Marcus ran to her, grabbed her shoulders. You shouldn't be here. I followed your trail. She stared past him. Why are there so many of you? 1,000 Marcus Chens turning to look, all wanting her to be their Julia. Don't look at them, Marcus said. We need to move. 3 of him stepped into their path. One wore army fatigues, one wore a wedding ring, one was dying from wounds. She's not yours, the army Marcus said. Julia, which one am I? Marcus asked. Julia looked between them, pale. I don't know. You all look like him. She has to choose, dying Marcus said. The Marcus who went missing 7 days ago, Julia said firmly. The guide. Julia grabbed Marcus's arm. When I passed through the fog, I saw myself, multiple versions. A version of Julia stood there. She wore black, mourning clothes. That's me, the other Julia said. The one whose Marcus died in the ravine. The ravine was mixing them, both trapped in infinite versions. Marcus grabbed Julia's hand. Tell me something specific, something only my Julia would know. She thought hard. Last month, you brought me coffee, wrong order, Americano instead of latte. The barista must have read my mind instead of yours. Marcus finished. The memory was clear. His. 3 weeks ago, Tuesday. Julia nodded. That's us. Then we hold on to that, Marcus said. Our specific memories. They started walking, hands locked. Your birthday last year? I forgot it. You didn't talk to me for 3 days. You brought me flowers on day 4. Daisies. The Henderson rescue. February. The kid with the broken leg. He threw up on my boots. You laughed. Each shared memory felt like an anchor. The other versions grew quieter. Marcus saw a version of himself that made him stop. Older, maybe 50, gray at the temples. He stood with a teenage boy who had Marcus's eyes. The boy called him Dad. That's your son, Julia whispered. Marcus watched the father teaching the boy to tie a bowline. The ache nearly broke him. That's not our timeline, Julia said. We talked about kids. We decided to wait. I remember, he said, after you made supervisor. After you finished your wilderness medicine certification. 2 months ago. Over Thai food. The pad Thai is too sweet. That's us. That's our reality. She tugged his hand. Come on. Do you regret it? Julia asked. Your choices. Marcus thought honestly. Sometimes I see these other versions and wonder. He squeezed her hand. But then I wouldn't have you. The choices that led me to you, I'd make them all again. That's how we get out, Julia said. We have to choose our timeline, accept the choices we made. I choose us, Marcus said. Our timeline, our life. I choose it too. The other versions began to fade. A path appeared, not physical, but a direction that felt right. They walked it together. The infinite versions parted like a curtain. Tell me more, Marcus said. Keep us anchored. The Carlson search, last September. We hiked for 14 hours. You twisted your ankle at mile 8, but kept going. You shared your protein bars, even though I told you not to. The couple was hypothermic when we found them. Another hour and they'd have died. You carried the woman on your back for 3 miles. Your ankle swelled up like a grapefruit. Worth it, Marcus said. The memory was solid, real. The path grew clearer. Marcus could feel his body now, the real one. Weak, dehydrated, dying, but still there. Christmas 2 years ago, Julia said. You cooked dinner, tried to make your grandmother's recipe, burned the turkey, set off every smoke alarm in your apartment. We ordered pizza instead, ate it on your couch watching old movies. Die Hard, you insisted it's a Christmas movie. It is a Christmas movie. The versions around them were almost transparent now. Marcus could see through them to what lay beyond, a way up. But the path split ahead into 2 directions. Both looked identical. Which way? Julia asked. A voice spoke behind them. Sarah Mitchell. One path leads to your timeline. The other leads to a timeline that's almost yours. Close enough that you won't know at first, but small things will be wrong. Your mother's name will be different, your apartment on a different floor. Little changes that add up. How do we know which is right? You don't. That's the final test. You have to trust your instinct. Marcus looked at both paths. The left one felt familiar, comfortable. The right one felt slightly uncomfortable, like wearing shoes half a size too small. The right one, Marcus said. Are you sure? Julia asked. No, but the left one feels too easy, too perfect. Our life isn't perfect. You hate mornings. I'm terrible at remembering birthdays. The right path feels like home, messy and real. You're right. The left one feels like a fantasy version. They took the right path together. The moment they stepped onto it, Marcus felt a snap. Reality rushed back. Weight, gravity, pain. His body was screaming. 7 days without food, severe dehydration, but alive. Keep walking, Julia urged. We're almost there. Marcus's legs barely held him. Julia supported half his weight as they climbed. The ravine walls grew solid. Rock instead of possibility. Normal physics reasserting. I can see the top, Julia said. Just a little further. Marcus pushed through the pain. Each step agony. But Julia was there. Real. His Julia from his timeline. They broke through the fog layer at the ravine's edge and collapsed on solid ground. Real ground. Singular ground. Marcus lay on his back, chest heaving, staring up at a sky that had only one sun. Not infinite suns from infinite timelines. Just one. Real. Singular. Julia knelt beside him, checking his pulse. Your heart rate is through the roof. We need to get you to a hospital. Wait, Marcus said. His voice came out as a croak. We made it out. Right. This is our timeline. Julia looked around. The shelter stood exactly as Marcus remembered it. His pack leaning against the wall. The journals stacked on the makeshift shelf. His orange surveyor tape tied to a nearby tree. Faded but still there. Test me, Marcus said. Ask me something only I would know. Julia thought for a moment. What did I say to you the first day we met? Marcus searched his memory. The real one. Not borrowed from another timeline. You said my boots were tied wrong. That I'd trip and break my neck if I kept hiking like that. And what did you say back? I said I'd been wearing boots since I was 6 and hadn't died yet. You called me an arrogant jackass. Julia smiled, tears in her eyes. That's you. That's my Marcus. What about you? Marcus asked. How do I know you're my Julia? Not a version from a different timeline. You don't, Julia said honestly, but I remember everything about our timeline. Your mother's name is Helen. She lives in Seattle on Westlake Avenue. Your father died when you were 16. Heart attack. You have a scar on your left knee from a hiking accident when you were 22. You hate cilantro. You think it tastes like soap. Marcus felt relief wash over him. Those details were right, all of them. Okay, we're us. We're home. Can you stand? Julia asked. Marcus tried. His legs wobbled but held. Julia steadied him. Together they walked away from the ravine. Marcus didn't look back. Didn't need to. He'd seen enough of what could have been. Now he just wanted what was. The helicopter arrived 40 minutes after Julia activated her emergency beacon. Marcus heard the rotors first, that distinctive thump cutting through the forest silence. He sat propped against a tree, wrapped in Julia's emergency blanket, sipping water in tiny controlled amounts. Julia knelt beside him, holding the water bottle. Small sips. Your body can't handle more right now. Marcus nodded. 7 days without real food had left him weak. He'd lost at least 15 pounds. His clothes hung loose. The helicopter landed in a clearing 50 yards away. 2 paramedics jumped out with a stretcher. Marcus recognized one of them, Tom Richardson. They'd worked a dozen rescues together. Tom took one look at Marcus and his professional mask slipped. Jesus, Marcus, you look like hell. Feel worse, Marcus managed. The paramedics went to work. Blood pressure cuff, pulse oximeter, IV line in his left arm. Tom worked efficiently while his partner took vitals. BP is 90/60, the young paramedic said. Heart rate 120. Temp is 95.2. Severe dehydration, malnutrition, mild hypothermia, Tom said. He looked at Julia. How long has he been like this? I found him 3 hours ago, Julia said. He was barely conscious, kept talking about seeing things, other versions of himself. Tom and his partner exchanged a glance. Marcus knew that look. They thought he was delusional. Dehydration can cause confusion, Tom said gently. You're going to be fine. Marcus wanted to explain. But how do you explain infinite timelines to people who lived in just one? So he said nothing. Just let them load him onto the stretcher. Julia climbed into the helicopter with him, held his hand during the flight. Marcus closed his eyes and felt the vibration of the rotors, all singular sensations. Just one helicopter, one flight, one timeline. You're going to be okay, Julia said. Marcus squeezed her hand. I know. But he also knew he'd never be the same. The ravine had shown him too much. You couldn't unsee that. The helicopter banked left and Marcus opened his eyes. Through the window, he could see the ravine below, fog still filling it. Somewhere down there, Sarah Mitchell still watched the child she never had. David Torres still tried to comprehend the infinite. They'd chosen to stay. Marcus had chosen differently. He'd chosen his one singular life, his mistakes, his Julia, his timeline. But part of him would always wonder about the others. Were they real? Were they still happening somewhere? The ravine disappeared behind them. Marcus closed his eyes again. He didn't have answers. Maybe he never would, but he was alive. And for now, that was enough. The hospital kept Marcus for 4 days. EV fluids, blood tests, CT scan. The doctors found nothing wrong beyond severe malnutrition and dehydration, but they noticed other things. The way he'd hesitate before answering questions, the way he'd call the nurse by the wrong name, then correct himself. The psychiatrist came on day 3, Dr. Sarah Chen. The name made Marcus flinch, but this Sarah was 50 with gray hair and kind eyes. Marcus, I'm Dr. Chen. The medical team asked me to check in. She sat beside his bed. They're concerned about some things you've been saying. What things? You told Nurse Rodriguez you remembered her daughter's quinceañera, but you've never met her daughter. You mentioned to Dr. Patel that you were sorry about his brother's death. He doesn't have a brother. Marcus stared at his hands. He'd been trying to filter. But the other memories kept bleeding through. In the ravine, he'd seen timelines where those things happened. They hadn't happened in this timeline, but they felt just as real. "I'm not crazy," Marcus said. "I didn't say you were, but severe stress can cause confabulation, your brain filling in gaps. These aren't false memories. They're real, just not from this timeline." Dr. Chen made a note. Marcus could see what she was thinking. Delusions. "Marcus, do you remember what happened? The 7 days you were missing." He'd prepared for this. "I got lost, found an old shelter. My equipment failed. I tried to find my way out, but kept getting turned around. I waited for rescue. And the things you saw. You told the paramedic you saw other versions of yourself. I was dehydrated, hallucinating. I know it wasn't real. But that was a lie. He knew it was real." Dr. Chen studied him. "You're telling me what you think I want to hear. What do you want me to say? That I descended into a quantum anomaly, that I saw infinite versions of myself, that I had to choose which timeline was real." "Did you?" Marcus met her eyes. She didn't look skeptical. She looked curious. "Yes," he said quietly. "And I know how insane that sounds." Dr. Chen was quiet. Then she closed her tablet. "There are places in the world where reality doesn't work the way it should. Most people never find them. The ones who do either stay there forever or come back changed. You came back. That takes strength. You believe me. I believe you experienced something that doesn't fit our normal understanding of reality. Whether it was a quantum anomaly or something else, I don't know. But I believe it was real to you." She stood. "I'm recommending you be discharged tomorrow. But I want you to see a therapist regularly. Not because I think you're crazy, but because what you experience will affect you for the rest of your life." 3 months later, Marcus stood at the edge of a different trail, not Devil's Ravine, just a simple day hike in Discovery Park. 10 miles, easy terrain. Julia stood beside him. She'd been there every day since the hospital. "You don't have to do this today," she said. Marcus shook his head. "I need to. If I don't get back out there, I never will." The first 2 months had been brutal. He'd tried to return to work after 3 weeks, made it 4 days before having a panic attack. The trees had looked wrong. He couldn't tell which version of the forest was real. The Park Service put him on medical leave. They lost guides before to PTSD. He'd been seeing Dr. Chen twice a week. She taught him grounding techniques, ways to anchor himself when the other memories got too loud. "5 things I can see," Marcus said aloud. "That cedar tree, the trail marker, Julia's red jacket, my boots, the sky." "Good," Julia said. "What else?" "5 things I can hear. Wind, a crow, cars, my breathing, your breathing." The panic eased. He was here. This timeline. This moment. "Ready?" Julia asked. They started hiking. The first mile was okay. Marcus focused on physical sensations. His boots on dirt. The weight of his pack. At mile 2, he saw someone coming toward them. A man. About his age. As they got closer, Marcus realized it looked like him. Same face. Same build. But with a beard. Marcus stopped walking. His heart hammered. "What's wrong?" Julia asked. "That guy." The man passed with a friendly nod. "Beautiful day." Marcus watched him go. It wasn't him. Just someone who looked similar. Not another version. Just a stranger. "I thought," Marcus started. "Never mind." But his hands were shaking. Julia guided him to a fallen log. "Talk to me," she said. "For a second I thought he was me. Another version." Marcus put his head in his hands. "I know that's crazy." "It's not crazy," Julia said. "It's trauma. Your brain experienced something impossible. It's trying to make sense of normal reality through that lens. What if it never stops?" Julia took his hand. "Then we'll deal with it. Together. You came back from that place. You chose this timeline. This life. Me. That means something." Marcus looked at her. This Julia. His Julia. "I love you," he said. First time he'd said it since coming back. Julia smiled, tears in her eyes. "I love you too. You're going to be okay. It'll just take time." They sat there for a while. Then Marcus stood. Let's finish the hike. They completed the 10 miles. Marcus had 3 more moments where reality felt thin, but each time Julia was there, grounding him. That night, back at his apartment, Marcus stood in front of the mirror. He'd been avoiding mirrors for 3 months, but tonight he forced himself to look. Same face, same scar on his chin from a climbing accident at 20. But something was different, like he carried weight that wasn't visible. Julia came up behind him, wrapped her arms around his waist. "You did good today," she said. "I froze twice, had a panic attack. But you didn't turn back. You finished. That's what matters." Marcus turned to face her. "I need to tell you something. About what I saw down there. All of it." They sat on the couch. Marcus told her everything. The infinite versions, the choice points, the timelines where he died, married someone else, never met her, the path that split at the end. When he finished, Julia was quiet. "Do you wish you'd chosen differently?" she asked. "One of the other timelines." "No," Marcus said. "This life, our life, it's messy and hard, and sometimes I don't sleep, but it's real, and you're in it. That makes it the right choice." Julia leaned her head on his shoulder. "Good, because I choose this too, every day." They sat in comfortable silence. Outside, the city lights glowed. Life continued. Marcus knew he'd never fully recover. The ravine had changed him permanently. Some nights he still woke up convinced he was in a different timeline. But he was learning to live with it, learning to choose his reality every single day. That was the real survival. Not the 7 days in the wilderness, not the descent into infinite possibility. The survival was choosing to stay. If this story meant something to you, drop a comment and share it. It helps the next person find their way here.